I'm at Costco and I go there every week and I go to the back window, I knock at the window over the meat section and the butchers know who I am and I purchase from them 2 to 3 cases of lamb chops every week and they just hand it to me. One week I go there and I don't recognize the butcher, so I say, hey, can you please sell me these lamb chops by the case? And he hands them to me and I go back to the restaurant and I open up the box and it wasn't French cut lamb chops. They were lamb chops, but they were the loin chops. Now you've seen them at Costco, they kind of look like this. But what he gave me wasn't that, it was this. That's what it looks like before they chop it up into little steaks. Now, after I got done being annoyed for receiving the wrong product, I realized that uncut, this is the lamb loin. The lamb loin is the best part of the lamb. It's fantastic, but it's also about 30 bucks a pound. However, if you go to Costco and you knock on that glass and you ask the butcher to give you the loin chop uncut, he will. And that is a savings of about 80%. Now look, you have to give this a try. Anybody who eats this lamb says it's the best lamb that they've ever had in their lives. I'm so in love with this dish that I'm gonna place it right next to the turkey on my Thanksgiving dinner. There are 3 ways you can prepare this beautiful lamb dish. You can cook it in the oven, on a barbecue, or in the smoker, which is how I'm gonna do it today. Temps and times are the same. The preparation for the lamb is probably the most difficult, especially if you're not comfortable working with a knife, and you have to have a really sharp knife. So please watch my video on how to sharpen a knife. This skin here makes it really kind of unpalatable. I don't recommend you eat that. You go under the skin. You want to slowly ease it into the lamb like this. You just want to get it close to the top as possible. And then you're going to move the knife towards the back of the loin. And if you break through the fat, don't worry about it, it's gonna happen. Try to get through as much as you can. You wanna leave as much meat on there as you can until it breaks through. Just take your time. You peel that back and that'll give you the least amount of waste. And then just keep slicing towards the fat on top. And you're gonna do the same thing with the rest of what's on there, like this. Just like that, right through, cut it off. It's not that hard to do if you take your time. If you rush it, you're gonna waste a lot of meat. You don't need to worry about the underside. That fat's okay to leave on there. Maybe if there's a big chunk like that, take it off. You're gonna get meat from all 4 sides. You're gonna get 2 loins, and these are the back straps, which are even more tender than the loin. A little more fatty, but really an excellent piece of meat, and you definitely want to get these out of there too. Now, I like to cook this on the bone. Whenever I have an opportunity to cook a piece of meat with the bone, I always take advantage of that. For me, the meat always comes out more moist. Then after it comes off the smoker and it's up to temperature and we're ready to serve it, we're gonna slice it off of the bone. Not that hard to do. You're gonna start out by cutting a bunch of parsley. Now, if you feel that you wanna use a food processor to speed this up, go right ahead. It works fine either way. And you're gonna wanna cut this up reasonably fine. Don't worry about the stems. Actually, the stems, especially if the parsley is organic, do impart a pretty nice flavor. To this parsley, we're gonna add 2.5 tablespoons of Celtic sea salt. 2.5 tablespoons of organic dried rosemary. About 1/3 of a cup of organic ground mustard. 3/4 of a teaspoon of organic black pepper. And 1/4 cup of organic agave syrup. Just want to give that a stir. I'm gonna flip that over first. This is where it gets messy. Just use your hands. You want to coat the entire lamb with this Get a good generous coating on both sides. As usual, you're gonna want to put a probe in this meat so you know what temperature it's at. We're gonna smoke this to 100 degrees. We're gonna turn the temperature up to 129. Then we're gonna turn up our smoker all the way to high. All right, now if you're gonna do this in an oven, you're just gonna basically put the oven on 450 degrees. Or if you can do it in a barbecue, then you're gonna put the meat on indirect flame and you're gonna put that up to about pretty much medium high. We're gonna wait for that to cook and then we're gonna slice it up. It's fantastic. Whether you do this in the oven or not, or on a barbecue, you still have to let it rest for 20 minutes before you cut into it. And I let it rest by covering it with saran wrap, just so none of the moisture escapes. 20 minutes. This lamb is so delicious that you really don't even need to have a gravy for it. So you start at the ridge and you cut towards the bone that's in the center. And you just follow that bone. What's gonna happen is that bone isn't like a perfect curve, it's almost like a little bit of a lip. So you wanna tilt the knife, see my hands kind of tilt the knife out to get around that lip. Come on to this side over here and work your way, peel the meat back and just slice along the loin rib. I'm sorry, the loin. Slice along the loin bone. Try to save as much of that meat as you can. There you go. You're gonna do the same on the other side. Same exact concept. Slice towards the bone. And then come down like this. Peel the meat back so you can see where you're cutting. And just slice along the loin bone. See how that just opens up like butterflies right off there? Okay. Same thing there. Then we flip this over and do the same on this side. This side's easier because there's no bump in the bones. No, it's just a straight cut because you're cutting along the back of the loin. Just like that. And this was cooked medium rare. That's how I recommend you eat it. But if you'd like, you can change it. You can cook it any temperature you want. Okay. So whether you decide to do this for Thanksgiving or whether you decide to do it for your friends and family, this loin of lamb is the most delicious piece of lamb you'll ever have in your life. Do not be afraid to try it. I talked to so many people who have tried and said, man, I don't really go for lamb, but this was the best lamb I've ever had in my life. And I hope you feel the same way. I'm gonna ask you to leave your comments down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do that. And don't forget, the recipe's on the website, warehousechef.com. Thank you so much. See you next time.